Hello, I'm Mike Doble with Schofield Financial Readiness Program, and today I'd like to take a few minutes and talk with you a little bit about basic investments and most of all retirement savings, and go along talk about a TSP at great length so that you have a better understanding of where we are with this. I know that most of you, when you think of Army Community Service, you don't realize that we have a lot of programs we run in Army Community Service: relocation, employment, family advocacy, volunteer corps, mobilization, survivor outreach, soldier and family assistance, Army emergency relief, and financial readiness. Now, all of these programs are headquarters right here at Schofield, and you can always come in and see us if you have questions about any one of these programs. Today, however, we will be looking mainly at savings and retirement planning. So our objective today is to discuss the importance of investing, review some of the items to consider when you invest, identify some tools used to invest, consider the tools used to invest for retirement, and we'll be spending lots of time on the TSP today and the blended retirement system. Okay, so first of all, why do we invest? Well, we invest to earn more money for a longer term, to beat inflation. Our savings today versus investing. If you are someone who is saving today and investing, you can see that there's a big difference in long-term returns with investment. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, some of the tools we use to invest with, and how you can best use those tools to maybe meet your future goals. Okay, so in the financial services world, we tend to think of investing as one of those things that, like any long-term plan, if you don't plan well, you are really planning to fail. It's savings, investments. These are your GPS systems for long-term wealth building. So we're going to emphasize that quite a bit, and I hope to get you on board and help you with some of your planning needs. Okay, are you ready to invest? Now, the most important thing, and I know a lot of you always ask me the question. You said, "Hey, Mike, why do I need a budget?" Well, first of all, guys, your budget is really the framework for all of the things you do moving forward. You may find that you are having a little difficulties managing your money. Your budget is really the roadmap to how to start looking at saving, looking at how much you have to invest, and so forth. Okay. And first and foremost, as we look at our savings program, one of the most important features of that is having an emergency fund set aside for emergencies, and that should always be your primary goal. Okay, do you have debit, credit card, personal loans, or higher other interest loans? So we'll look at some of those things and try to make some sense out of most of these topics. Some of the questions you might be asking is, what do I need money for? Okay, as you look at your home, your financial plan, you may be planning to buy a home in, let's say, 5-10 years from now, or upon retirement, or maybe saving for your kids' education, or for your own, or for your spouse's education. When do we need the money? So your plan must look at how much do I have to put away today, the purpose, and when in the future am I going to need this money. Your time frame is extremely important, and it must be very specific. Now remember that long-term investing, or any type of investing for that matter, involves risk. So you must be thinking, as you look down the road, how much risk do I, or can I, or do I want to take? And that's very, very important. So assessing your risk level is one of the most important criteria. How long into the future you have, the longer you have, we often say that you can take more risk, and having a good plan is better than all that we can ask for. A good plan with specific amounts for a specific date, and how much risk am I willing to take for that, to get there. Okay, so when we look at some of the investment vehicles, as we call them, first of all, for most long-term investment, we look at bonds. Bonds are really not long-term, but they're good for, they do have a part in all of our lives. And as time go on, you find bonds become more and more important as rely on them for income down the road. But when you buy a bond or when you invest in bonds, you are really lending money to someone who in return will pay you interest on the money that you have loaned them. Stocks, on the other hand, is when you buy a small slice of a company and you expect that share or that small slice of the company to grow in the future and appreciate and make you some money. Now, a good way to combine both of them is in a good mutual fund. Good mutual funds or any well-designed mutual fund will have a combination of both bonds and stocks, which gives you some protection at the top. It's not as risky, and to kind of counterbalance the stocks when the stock market is down, so that you can have some income coming from the bonds. Okay, but a mutual fund is a pool of investments where there are millions of dollars that go into average mutual fund every month, and the investment and manager of these funds will then take that money, invest it in bonds and stocks, and hold it in a pool. And as time go on, hopefully that investment will make some money, and they will share that with you. Okay? So in the investment world, we have what's called actively managed funds. These are funds that a manager will actually go out and buy and look to try to beat the market. It's where most, should I say, investment companies try to guide you to, because that's where the big commissions are. And hopefully, you know, by having a good manager, a good managed fund, you'll be able to prosper down the road. Index funds, on the other hand, is where you buy into a pool of stocks and bonds, and it stays basically static. It doesn't move too much unless there's a reason for it to move. So it's a static pool. It's very low cost. Because of that, the manager isn't looking at buying and trading every day. He's satisfied with holding a pool of goods and services, of stocks and bonds for that matter, and looking at it. And only when he finds it is absolutely necessary or something have changed that he needs to go out and buy something else, would he trade out of that. So index funds, for the most part, are very inexpensive. They're very good investments. For the most part, they beat the actively managed funds by about 70%. And so you'll find them in a lot of pension plans and so forth. So as we look at retirement, and first of all, in our federal government, in our military, we have something called a thrift savings plan, or the TSP. Okay, and this is in addition to your normal pension plan for those of you who stay in after 20 years. The TSP is a very, very good set of funds. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but you can today contribute a maximum of $19,500 into your thrift savings plan. If you're older than age 50, you can then add another $6,000 onto that. So you can hide away quite a bit of money if you, depending on which type of investment you choose. Traditional IRA or the Roth IRA. Traditional is before taxes, and IRA is after taxes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that down the road. Okay, so here we are. Just take a look again at the traditional and the Roth IRA. With the traditional IRA, you are investing what's called pre-tax money. This is money that was never taxed, okay? And the earnings are tax deferred. The only problem down the road with that is that when you withdraw that money from a traditional IRA, it is then taxed. So that big pie that was growing, tax-free, tax deferred, when you turn age 60, 65, 70, whenever you decide to take that money out, it is then taxed at that level. So it can result in quite a bit of taxes down the road. The Roth IRA, on the other hand, your money that finance sends to the TSP is money that's already taxed. Okay, and then when that money is put into the TSP, it grows tax-free. And this money grows tax-free for the rest of your life. So if you look at retirement, for a lot of us, sometimes we have a retirement from the military. We have Social Security, that's taxable. We have other pension plans that may have come from a different employer, that's taxable. And the only little bit of our pie that is sometimes tax-free is a Roth IRA or the Roth TSP in this case. Okay, so it's a good to think about it while you're young. The Roth is normally in your best interest. The traditional, on the other hand, can cost you a lot of taxes later on, but they are both great ways to save money. Okay, so starting a TSP, first of all, you let the finance office know that you want to put away some money into your TSP, and I would recommend that you do that at the start of every year. Let them know how much you want to take out every month and send to the TSP, whether that's traditional or Roth. Okay, the finance office then sends that money directly to the TSP, who would then put it into your traditional or your Roth TSP. Okay, and there are many options to now. When finance or DFAS sends your money to TSP, what the TSP does is put it in a pool, a very safe pool. It could go into a very safe fund that doesn't make any real headway. It doesn't take a lot of risk, but it will sit there as long as you don't do anything. However, in the long run, it's not a good thing to have your money sitting in a low return type of fund. So the TSP will then give you a chance at some point down the road to move your money around into more risky investments. Okay, but as you put your money into the TSP, it's very important that you remember they are going to send you your PIN, your password in the mail. You need to really secure that and make sure that you keep it handy, because as you get ready down the road to change out your investments, you are going to need that information. Now, I say this because I have met people who have been in the military for 14, 15 years. They have no idea what their PIN is. They have no idea where their funds are going. And this is kind of sad, because this is something that's extremely important to us, and we need to pay attention to the things that we have control over. And we have control over our PIN, we have control over our password, and we have control over where our funds go to. And that will make a whole lot of difference. So in the basic TSP, we have the G fund, which is government securities, very safe, but not very active. Doesn't have a whole lot of great returns. We have the F fund, which is another government-based, but not treasury bonds. This is treasury bonds. This is government agency bonds. The C fund, which is common stock, and we will go through all of these in a few minutes. The small cap funds, very aggressive. I fund, aggressive. And then the L cycle fund, which is a combination of all of these up here under one roof. And we will talk about those here in a second. Okay, so to start off with, let's look at the default fund. If you send your money to, you tell DFAS, listen, I want to just send away $500 every month. DFAS is going to put it into the G fund for you. Very safe, but not very high returns over the course of time. Does not even keep up with inflation and taxes, so it's not going to do you too good. And if you left your money in there over time, you will not get very far with it. So this is just a safe harbor until you decide where to put your money. Okay? So the G fund, again, very safe, but not very productive as far as returns go. The government agency funds, which is the F fund, a little bit more aggressive, but again, not a big barn burner, as you can see. You know, it has its good years and bad years, but for the most part, it's not as aggressive as stocks and bonds. For those of you who have lots of time still left before you hit age 60, 65, you need to really consider looking at your investment and talking with a financial counselor to see how perhaps you can maybe improve your portfolio to earn a little bit more. Okay, so the C fund is a stock market index fund. It is a measure of 500 of the largest companies in the United States. When you put your investments in there, you have a high probability of this thing growing and making you some good money. As you can see, over the last year, this is 2019, it did some fabulous numbers. Over the 3-year average, 15%, 5-year, 10-year, and since inception in 1988, it has averaged about almost 11%. Then we have the, not just a C fund, but this is just a small offering of what is involved in the C fund. They go out and they buy stocks in big companies. Okay, and it's divided up, as you can see, in many different areas of the economy. It really covers a broad spectrum of the U.S. economy in totality. And when you put your money into the C fund, there's a good chance that you'll be buying little micro shares of all of these big companies. The S fund, on the other hand, is a very aggressive fund. It invests in smaller companies. As you know, smaller companies, especially in the COVID years right now, very innovative and creative in a lot of the things that we are using, a lot of the technology that you're seeing today, a lot of the medicines that you see, vaccines and so forth. A lot of them are made by small companies who then sell to bigger companies, etc. So very aggressive growth, but it does have its downsides also. Not everything that goes up is going to keep going up on a straight trajectory, but small companies have a great track record of going up in price. And so a portfolio that has the C fund or the S fund, in it will more than likely do you some good. Okay, so again, the smaller companies that have grown very quickly. Tesla, most of you know Tesla, one of the biggest automakers in the United States right now, if not the biggest, and the most capitalized company as far as automotive goes. Okay, international stocks. Some of you like your foreign cars, your Mercedes-Benz, your BMWs, and so forth. These companies are all international type companies, and as you can see, they're very aggressively growing, but there's a lot more turmoil in this market. But the U.S. market is a little bit more, should I say, stable, and the iFund takes these companies and puts it in a place where it can go for you. If you look at some of the holdings in the iFund, you may be asking, well, I know some of these. This is Toyota, HSBC, AstraZeneca. They're making medicines these days, and so Nestle. Most of you know these companies, and you can see where the countries and where this iFund puts its money. So it's a very good piece of your portfolio. Okay. So now sometimes we are not too sure what we should do, or we're a little queasy about putting our money into the stock market. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust other folks. And if you want to get something that's designed by portfolio managers who are very reputable, very well known for their investment prowess, very conservative, the L funds were designed by such people, and the L fund takes into consideration your age, when you're going to retire, and so forth. Now, how do you figure these numbers out? Well, if you take a 60 and you add it on to your present year of birth, it'll kind of give you a general guidance as to what group that you should belong to. For example, if you were born in 1980 and you add 60 onto that, 6 and 8 is 14, 2040 would be a portfolio that's suitable for you. If you are younger, as you can see, now, and these funds, they just changed the makeup of these funds so that they used to be in 10-year increments only. Now they are in not only 10, but in 5-year increments. So to give you a little better understanding of where you should be picking. So most people tend to look and say, well, you know what, I'm going to retire at age 65, so I'm going to get a fund that I'm going to take my age, which is 20, 21, 22. I'm going to add 60 or 65 onto that. It'll kind of give you the idea so you take your date of birth at 60 or 65, give you a good range of what fund to choose, what portfolio, and these portfolios include a mix of all of the funds that we just talked about. Okay? As you can see in the mix right here, how much approximate of each of these are in these portfolios. Very good portfolio. If you know nothing about what you're doing, but you want to participate in the TSP, I would recommend highly that you put your money into the L fund. This way you can go to sleep at night. You don't have to worry too much because someone with a lot more knowledge, a lot more experience than you and I are managing these funds. So this really is a good place. if you're not sure what you want to do. Okay, so we call those the life cycle funds. They've been around for quite a while, and they take a little more, should I say, conservative approach, because they want to be able to say, hey, I'm managing your money for you, and I'm going to do a good job for you. So take advantage of these. As you can see, some of the returns on these funds have been very, very good over the years. For example, if you look at the L fund 2050, it did fairly well. And the 2040 fund did very well. So these are good funds for people who are retiring. On the other hand, the single unit funds, they've also had good years. The C fund, for example, a lot of people gyrate to when they're young, did 31% in 2019. In 2018, it did not so good, but overall, down the road, you have to look at the end result after 5-10 years and kind of make a determination. So really, how much risk am I willing to take? When am I going to retire? Do I have other resources? All of these will help you with choosing a portfolio that is compatible with your needs. Okay, and so that brings us to talking a little bit about our retirement options. When we retire from the military, for example, after 20 years, we have what's called a defined benefit. It's a pension plan. Okay, and at 20 years, in today's day and age, depending on when you came into the military, you could be earning 50% of your what we call a high 3. So take the year 18, 19, and 20. Add them up and divide it by 3, it'll give you 50% of that. For the ones who are just now coming in after 2018, January of 2018, they are going to be in the blended retirement system. Now, each category offers you the opportunity to get the thrift savings plan. Okay? However, there are some differences. If you are in a traditional retirement program at the blended, you don't have free, or should I say, government contributions going into your TSP. So you have to take it upon yourself to put some money into the TSP. But to combine both of these together, great portfolio that'll get you to a comfortable retirement if you keep up with the program. And in addition to that, you do have the IRAs that you can contribute up to $6,500 a year into an IRA. And by the way, if you have a spouse who is not working, or his or her job is a little bit erratic whenever you move, I recommend that you do get a IRA for those individuals. Okay, so the blended retirement came into being in January of 2018. Okay, and folks who came in after 1 January of 2006 then had the option of jumping ship and converting over to the blended retirement. And there are some pros and cons in all of these, but for all of the new people that's coming in right now today, they are, after 1 January of 2018, they are automatically placed into the blended retirement. Not a bad program at all, and I'll show you why. Okay, so under the current system, or what we call a traditional system, your TSP, you have no match, and so forth that goes in there. Under the blended retirement, you do have a pension. It's reduced though. Up here you get 50%, and down here you get 40%, but you also have TSP matching funds that the government puts in there for you every month. Okay, and again, if you are over 50, you can put in an additional 6,500. This is wrong. 6,500 and get up to 26,000 a year into your retirement. Good amount of money. Good tax break if you put it into traditional, so forth. Okay. The blended retirement has some differences in how your money goes into your TSP plan. Okay, but your TSP. Let's say you are a member of the TSP, or you are under the TSP program. First of all, you have an automatic 1% of your your monthly base pay that goes directly into your TSP. Okay? You can, if you put in 5% of that of your base pay, Uncle Sam will match you up to 5%, and after the 2-year time frame, the money then is yours. You'll become fully vested. Okay, and you can contribute to the TSP and get that free matching money up to 5% up until year 26. So you can really accumulate quite a bit of money, and this is a program that you can take with you, whether you stay in the military or not, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that in a minute. Okay, so in addition to that, at the 12-year point, you are eligible for what's called continuation pay. Right now, it's right at half of your 2.5 times your monthly base pay, and it's good money. Okay. Under the blended retirement system, again, everyone coming in after 1 January of 2018 is in the blended retirement. Your pension is based on 2% of your high 3, and again, if you match, you will automatically always get under the blended retirement 1% annual contribution, monthly contribution going into your pay. However, if you put in nothing, you'll still get that 1%. If you put in 1%, you'll get the agency match of 1%, plus the agency contribution of 1%, you'll end up at 3%. All the way up to 5%. You put in 5% of your base pay, your automatic 1%, and Uncle Sam will give you an additional 4% to bring you up to a total of 5% in addition. You'll have 10% of your base pay going forward every single month into your TSP. I highly, highly recommend that you take advantage of this program. It can, mean an awful lot of money to you when you turn age 60, 65. Remember, the TSP portion of your retirement, folks, it's not meant for you when you get out the military. It's meant for you when you actually retire down the road at age 60, 65. You will get your pension when you're finished if you did 20 years in the military, which will start at the end of your service. Okay, so one of the things to remember are these, after 60 days in the military, you start getting your agency contribution. After 2 years, that agency matching funds become yours. You are fully invested. Okay, and if you were to leave the military after 3, 4, 5 years, your money in the TSP is yours to take with you wherever you go. Again, one of the nicer things about blended retirement also is that when you hit age 12 years of service, you get that continuation pay, which is 2.5 times your monthly base pay. And then we'll talk about this here in a little bit. I need to break that down for you a little easier. So we'll talk about lump sum. Under your current pension program, you don't have a lump sum that you can just take out and go with you. You got to get a monthly, should I say, annuity. You will get a monthly annuity, that's your retirement. But under the blended retirement, they offer you a lump sum. So let's say you retired right here, you're now age 40. Okay, you have your blended retirement program, you have your TSP, and you wanted to borrow against your future retirement. Remember, Uncle Sam is going to pay your retirement for as long as you're alive, right? Now, under this program, you can borrow up to 50% of this retirement pie. Okay? So as soon as you retire and you say, hey, look, I want to borrow at least 25% or 50% of my future retirement, you can borrow that in a whole big lump sum. You take it, do whatever you want with it. And the beautiful part about it is when you turn age 70, or 67 and a half rather, this piece, you only borrowed it up until age 67, right? So at age 67, it reverts back to the full amount. So the government will estimate how much they're going to pay you from the point of retirement to age 67. You can borrow 50% of that, and when you hit age 67, then it reverts back up to where it would have been had you stayed on this track. So very, very good program. You can use that to do whatever, open a business, go into something professional, and so forth. Okay. Again, blended retirement. You have a vested retirement if you stay in for 20. It's based on 2% of your base pay times 2% of your high 3 base pay. Okay, so at 20 years, you'd have 40% of your high three retirement, and at 60% you'll max out at 30 years you'll max out at 60% of your retirement, 2% per year. So if you think about it, guys, there are some good pros and cons that you need to know about, and most importantly is this little section right here. Presently, only about 1 in 5% stay in long enough for retirement, which means 4 soldiers, airmen, Navy folks stay in for 20 to get that retirement. So a lot of folks walk away with nothing. Under the blended retirement, remember, you start getting money after 60 days in service. So even if you left at 5 or 10 years, you can take that blended retirement money with you. That's yours. If you stick around for 20, of course you're going to get your pension and then whatever is in your TSP. So it's estimated that 85% of the soldiers and airmen today and Navy folks will benefit by being in the blended retirement. Now, it's not the 50%, it's a 40% plus, whatever is in your TSP. But it's a good deal. You won't walk away too empty-handed under the blended retirement. On the other hand, if you stuck with a traditional program and you got out before 20, you don't have a pension at all, and you don't, unless you are contributing yourself to the TSP, only then would you have something. But under the blended, Uncle Sam is putting money into your account every month. Okay? So again, under the current system, your pension is based on 50% of your high three, but there is no TSP matching funds that go with that. Okay? It's not portable. You can't take that pension and then reinvest it anyway. All right, so estimates for what total retirement would equate out to 27 and 05 under the pension program. Under the blended retirement system, you have 40% after 20 years, plus your TSP match. And any contribution that you pay and extra money that you put into your TSP program. It is portable. You can take this portion of your retirement, this is your TSP portion, and you can send it to your next employer. You can leave it with Uncle Sam so that it can grow a nice, safe place. And essentially, or you can spend it, do whatever you want with it. It's your money. Okay? Present values for E7 retiring after 20 years and with his lifespan and everything is about 2 million, and 05 is about 3.9. So, big differences between the two. Both programs are very, very good. At some point down the road, we won't have too many of the traditional type. It will mainly be the blended retirement. So those of you who are in the blended retirement system today, I really, really encourage you to at least try and put away 5% of your base pay every month. This is free money Uncle Sam is going to give you. You can't beat free money, guys. So my advice to you is to take advantage of that and let that blended retirement work for you. Put away at least 5% of your base pay so that you can get a full match. Okay? Free money, free money. All right. At this point, I'd like to take a little pause and take a break, and for a minute or so, and give you about a 2-minute, 3-minute stretch, and then we'll talk about some TSP solutions, some of the things that are pros and cons a little bit. Okay. All right, I think we're back and ready to go again. So some of the solutions to your TSP as you leave the military, Again, you can leave your money in the TSP. If you get a federal job later on, you can roll that over into a federal service, a TSP. You can roll over your TSP funds into your new employer's plan. You get out to the military at age 40, 41, 42. You have a TSP pie. You can take that and put it into your new employer's 401k. Remember, the TSP is just like a 401k, not different. I would caution you, however, that most TSP 401ks on the outside are much more costly than what the government has to offer. So I would say to you, look at the costs before you do that and ask yourself, hey, do I want to go from the low-cost TSP funds into something that's much more expensive? And I would ask you then to really take a serious look at that before you do so. Okay? You can also roll over those TSP funds into an IRA, or you can roll your future 401k funds into TSP down the road a little bit. So let's say you took another job with another employer, and you stayed with that employer for 5, 10 years. You want to come back into federal service, you can always roll that back over into the TSP program. So there's a lot of options there for you to use. My advice is to I would really consider leaving the money into the TSP because of the cost involved. It's very, very cost efficient. It's very well run, and I think it's in very good hands. Very good custodianship by the thrift savings plans managers. So think about that and maybe just leave it there. Okay? The TSP is, again, very, very easy to start. All you need to do is really just contact DFAS, tell them how much money you want to put away each month, and they'll send that out to the TSP for you. Remember though, when they send that money out to the TSP, you have to come back afterwards and let them know where exactly you want to put those funds. Don't leave it in the G fund. Okay? Low cost, it's flexible, it's good, a lot of good tax benefit under the both programs, and again, all of the rollovers and different things that we just mentioned. Okay? One of the things you need to remember is if you make a commitment to invest in the long term, I know it takes a lot of, should I say, discipline to put away some money over a long period of time, especially when you're young. But when you're young is really when you should start getting into the habit of doing things properly for your long-term benefit. And committing to an investment program, unlike buying a car or buying a house, the TSP or retirement program is a much longer program. It starts from the day you start working all the way up until the time that you're finished with your working career. So remember, one of the things we talked about in the earlier program, by paying yourself first, taking some of the money right off the top and putting it into your savings, your investments, your emergency funds, okay? Making your investments on a regular, disciplined basis. Understand the consequences of inaction. Guys, if you don't plan now, you remember we had that caption and read a little earlier where we talk about those who fail to plan, literally planning to fail. It's really boils down, right down to that. So use your budget, make the best use of it. If you have some questions at all, anytime you have questions about it, come by and see us in the Financial Readiness Program. We will be happy to sit down with you. I know it's a little difficult these days to do so, so give us a call. We can talk to you on the phone and help you, walk you through some of the program, okay? So this chart just kind of illustrates what it means and the kind of accumulation you can have if you start off early, investing the $90 a month. By the time you reach age 60, if your money was returning 10%, you'd have $1,030,030. As you wait, though, that $90 keeps going up in costs, and to get to the same end point at age 40, you would have to put away $820 a month and end up right in about the same range as this guy here who started off early and was putting away $90 a month. So the idea of getting into the savings program, it's not just starting early, but it's disciplining yourself along the way for many, many years to come and looking at that money grow. Okay? So we do have quite a few websites here for you to look at to get some more information. Again, we are right here in and the ACS, you can come by, visit us, or give us a call, and our number will be, we'll have that at the end of the session. Okay? To summarize, however, we look at, and we talked a little bit about the importance of investing, starting early. We reviewed the items to consider. Those are the TSP funds, IRAs, a little bit. Some of the tools used to invest. And reviewed the blended retirement system. Now, I know some of you are still, I don't like the blended retirement, but guys, it's here to stay. It's a good program. My son is in that program, and you know, he's a young man starting off, and asked me the question, Dad, what should I do? Take the blended retirement, but make sure you take advantage of putting away that 5% of your base pay every single month to really get the true benefit from it. Okay, so with that said, I want to wrap up. Thank you for your time and your attendance today. And if you have any questions at all about any of these things that we discussed on the Financial Readiness Program, don't hesitate to give me a call. Okay, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Yeah. Goodbye.